We just watched episode 1 of season 1 of HBO DCWB's Lanterns, and we want to talk about it. Me and Mortimer, my cat who's sitting on my lap here, he's really excited about this show because it's one of the first new DCU things that doesn't have a pet. Superman and Supergirl had Crypto, Peacemaker had Eagly. Mortimer doesn't want to have to compete. I don't know if he consider Weasel a pet. But alright, so Lanterns is off to a great start. I just wanted to do a quick recap video. I already did a review on this channel, but I wanted to do another episode by episode breakdown because I wanted to show you guys what I think is interesting about each individual episode. I want to go full spoilers because my review was spoiler free as much as I could. I want to talk about theories. I want to talk about all that stuff because genuinely I think the mystery of this show is very interesting. And you know, it's fun to see this develop over time. All I've been doing with the background. This background is a concept for what Man of Tomorrow could look like, and it is by Dipankar Art on Instagram. And Man of Tomorrow, it seems like we'll have Jon Stewart in it. So, you know, he's in this image. Look at that. And he's by Hawkgirl. And I was like, ooh, are they going to get together? That'd be interesting. He's very tall and she's very small. But besides that, I don't know, I could see it. So I will say this show is incredibly clever from the start. Telling the story with 4 different time periods gives us a lot of opportunities. The big opportunity 1, is stuff can take place mostly in the past, like 2016 and back. And those things don't have to deal with Superman, Supergirl, Clayface, I assume. Any of the other things that are going on in this shared universe. That's really, really smart. Then we have the 1996 timeline. I have a feeling we're not going to spend too much time there, but I do think we're going to spend enough time there because I think there's some stuff to learn, you know, about Hal, but largely about Jon, about what his family's whole deal is. Why is his dad shooting an apple off of his head? What is his dad's involvement in this process? And then we get the 2006 time period, which I don't think we're going to revisit it that many times, but we did see a slightly younger Hal Jordan in what Jon named the hologram. So we can do stuff in all 3 of those timelines before we actually have to do anything in the present day. And I still think it's not going to be a huge deal. I'm sure in a future episode somebody will say like, Hal was the first one, but then the guy showed up in the blue pajamas and now world full of superheroes, like some line like that. Now obviously we are going to have to get involved with the present day because as we know from, I believe he was in like one of the trailers, Guy Gardner is going to show up eventually. I assume that is going to be in the present timeline since that's what he looks like in the bit that we've seen, and he looks like that in the Superman movie. And like, it definitely would look different because I think they do a really good job on the show de-aging Kyle Chandler. Like, Kyle Chandler from the interview and Kyle Chandler in the hologram looks so good. Obviously, part of why the interview works is because it's on grainy footage and like, it's an old TV, like sure. But the hologram, I think, looks excellent. Let's talk about our leads. So what's going on with the dad? Why does the dad want to know what Hal Jordan's name is? Because Hal Jordan seems to reveal himself on this TV show. Seems like Green Lanterns have existed for a while. Seems like the kids know that their dad does not like the Green Lantern, and they're almost scared to tell him anything about the Green Lantern because they think he'll get angry. Dad was in the military. I've got to imagine there's something going on between them. Like Hal and his dad. Like in this show, Jon is a Marine, but he's also like an architect. And I think in the trailer we saw a shot of someone doing sniping, and I kind of assumed that was Jon as well. Then I'm like, oh, is that his dad? And did Hal, as the Green Lantern, just mess up an operation his dad was working on, and his dad kind of hate him for it? And then what it seems like the dad is doing is training Jon to be the next Green Lantern, because he seems to know for some reason that there will be another one. And eventually when Hal dies or quits or whatever, someone will be the most suited to take over, and they're hoping that's Jon. What's interesting is the Are You Afraid thing comes from the television show that the kid's watching, right? Lil Jon sees Hal say, well, there was one test. It was, are you afraid? And Hal said no. But Jon didn't tell his dad about that. So his dad knows about that already too. Maybe his dad was chosen as the Green Lantern or got passed over or something because he had too much fear. And his dad's trying to raise a son who like has no fear. I don't know. We get to the present day. There are a bunch of things I like here. One, Jon is boxing, but his boxing gym is the Coast City Gym. I saw some people complaining like, oh, they don't mention enough of the places. And in DC, it's like, well, no, they got one here. You got to be looking for it, but you can see it. Also, this is apparently the front of Patty's Pub in Always Sunny. Even though I live in Philadelphia, the front of that bar is in California. And you can tell it's California because of license plates. So Hal picks up Jon. There's a lot of tension. I love both of these actors here so much. Kyle Chandler is Hal Jordan. Aaron Pierre is Jon Stewart. Like, they're both perfect. And I love that I still don't fully understand why Jon is here. Jon doesn't seem to fully understand either. Like, he's the trainee. Like, a lot of people are saying, like, traditionally, the ring picks the next guy. But the way they've been talking about it, the big blue bosses, which are the Guardians, they pick the next guy, which is interesting. I don't think that's completely unprecedented, but that's different than usual. And maybe that's something like the Guardians picked Jon's dad, but the ring picked Hal. So this is like the dad's like, I'm going to make sure the ring picks you because I feel bad about not being the Green Lantern. I love all of Kyle Chandler's little facial tics. There's a lot of him trying to read Jon Stewart, who is just not moving at all, where Hal is like kind of focusing and like kind of squinting, not because like he's drunk or anything he can't see, he's just kind of trying to read this guy who is unreadable. Like, I love that Hal Jordan has a clear, like, I'm thinking face. But we get the first construct on the show. It is not seen. Apparently Jon uses bubble wrap to save himself from the car wreck. I'm not sure what Hal Jordan planned to do if Jon Stewart just died. If he wasn't ready to use the ring, he'd probably get into trouble. Also, there's like another vehicle that's like within view of the car that jumps off the cliff. Did those guys see it? Did those guys see the cliff guy jump off the car and then a big bubble wrap? Did they go try to help him, or were they like, uh-oh, this is some Green Lantern business, we do not want to get involved? We learned that Hal does not wear the suit because he just doesn't like wearing it, and he used to like wearing it when he was younger, but something changed, and now he doesn't necessarily want to be associated with the Lanterns. Maybe there's something about the Corps he does not agree with. Maybe he like did something wrong while wearing the suit and it kind of feels bad. I think Hal flying away looks great. I wish we got a little bit of the green aura, but I do like how he kind of like takes off from the ground, right? He doesn't do that kind of Superman like whoosh. I feel like he accelerates. He gets almost like a running start, and I think that's good. And I love that Jon just doesn't fly and can't fly, so he has to take a plane and then rent a car, which, and my sister pointed this out to me, in this situation, Jon Stewart rents a mid-sized sedan, probably because he knows in another life he was a rapper of that name on a beach where he got old. And we'll see in this show if he gets old, what'll happen is he'll just get a nice goatee. So maybe that would have happened on the beach if he survived longer. Spoilers for old, he doesn't survive the whole movie. Then they go to the football field, they find the guys, they chase him down, all that's great. They go to a bar and have a real interesting conversation. A bunch of interesting things are happening here. First of all, Hal Jordan is doing the What's New Pussycat move from John Mulaney's comedy special, which 2016, I feel like there's a chance it came out before then, maybe been around the same time. And here is where we learn all of Hal Jordan's backstory, and it is essentially what the backstory of Hal Jordan usually is, which is he was a fighter pilot, he was fearless, the ring chose him, it brought him to Abensur, a pink alien who was in rural Nebraska, crashed a ship, and died. And then Hal Jordan got the ring and became the Green Lantern. Even names a sector 2814, something that's interesting, and it makes way more sense the second time you see it. The woman who Jon is going to flirt with in the bar, Miss Macon, Grandma Macon, as you could call her, she's listening to this whole conversation, trying to play it a little bit cooler. Like, clearly, this is not a coincidence. I don't think she necessarily like planned to have sex with Jon, but it did seem like they were there following Hal to get information. And what Hal basically tells Jon is the Guardians, who are the people in charge of giving out lantern rings, did not want a Green Lantern on Earth. And that's why he believes Abensur came to her. Now, there is the moment, and this is like a cute little thing, but I think this could come up later, where Hal says,
his last words. And he kind of whispered them, so I'm never really sure whether he said good luck or oh.
I think it could be cool if like that thing that Abensur said that Hal didn't really know what it was, if that did actually turn out to be really important and we figure out what it is by the end of the series. It's not good luck, it's not off, something else that sounds like that. That could be cool. Like if we notice that there's a character introduced later named like Baw Duck or something, we can realize like, oh, that's who he was talking about. I don't know if there's like a lantern or lanterns adjacent character that could correspond to. I don't feel like it does. I do find the conversation Jon has with Grandma Macon interesting, because here we get the same information more or less, but like a little different. Hal said that the ring chose Jon, but Jon says that their bosses chose Jon. It seems like the Guardians were in charge of choosing who was the Lantern, but it seems like Hal thinks the ring does that on its own. There are a couple lines that I think are going to come back in the future. One is this line.
These cops have bosses.
Come on, everybody's got bosses.
Obviously, in that scenario, they're talking about the Guardians, or kind of Hal being his boss. Not really, but like they're more talking about the Guardians, the weird blue aliens that are in charge of the Green Lantern rings. But I'm wondering now, the way that she said that, who her boss is. Because I feel like this character is clearly hiding something. Maybe they are secretly an alien. I mean, they probably are. I feel like a lot of characters are secretly aliens, but what kind of aliens and what they're after is very different. But who is she working for? Maybe she's the boss. Maybe that's that moment, is her saying, not everybody has bosses. One thing that we do know from the trailer is that at least part of the story of this season is going to focus on a group of aliens, robots, whatever, called the Manhunters. What I think we are going to learn eventually, and I don't think this would work as a huge secret because this is just kind of straight up how they usually work, is the Manhunters were the original draft of the Green Lanterns made by the Guardians, and they didn't work. They were bad, and they killed lots and lots of people. they probably sent them to Earth and they did a big genocide there or something. Like, that's not in the comics, but maybe that's why they don't want anybody going to Earth, is because they don't want any of the Manhunters to get their power. Who knows? I would guess, like, if we were to just pick someone who's like a likely Manhunter, it's Grandma Macon. She's got too many questions. She's too forward. She's too manipulating. Like, I don't know. It just feels right. Like, I think it wants us to think Garrett Dillahunt's character is secretly an alien. I think he may be. But if anything, I think he's working for her. Like, shows love to have that little face-off between the hero and the villain, but before the hero knows the villain is the villain. So we can go back to that in the future. I don't know, that just feels like what it's going to be. He also does that really cool thing where he lights her cigarette with his, or Hal's, lantern ring, which, like, I'm sure has been done before, but maybe there's something to that. Maybe, like, if she is a Manhunter, she's able to absorb some of that power by smoking, and, like, that is, you know, something Manhunters want to do. I don't know, just a theory. So it seems like the dynamic in this town is there's two groups of aliens. One is the Manhunters. That's probably based on that they're mentioned in the trailer. But then there seems to be another group of aliens. I'm going to assume that's what the guy that they're interrogating is from. He is part of a separate group of aliens here to find the Manhunters. He probably even would suspect that Hal is working with the Guardians to hide the Manhunters or something like that. And he just completely distrusts the Guardians. Thinks the oath is stupid. Like, it's interesting because this character will probably turn out to kind of be in the right. I have no idea what alien race he'll be part of. We do hear that there are 14 alien races that can completely mimic a human. If the Manhunters are one of them, let's say that's the Macons, or at least some of them. I imagine this guy is part of some other group. I'm sure a lot of people are going through all the different alien races. And the one that comes up the most, I'm sure, are the Martians and the White Martians. I think that would make sense. There is a question of, like, it seems like something is being protected here. Some person or some weapon is hidden on Earth. It would need to be something the Guardians have and want to protect. Or, like, a person who's maybe controlling the Manhunters that this second group of aliens are after. Definitely a very Tom King story of, like, oh, actually, you know, the Guardians of the Universe who are supposed to be good guys, they're actually bad guys, and they did a bad thing, some sort of, like, galactic genocide, and they covered it up, and nobody knows that the Manhunters were working for the Guardians. And once the Lanterns figure that out, they're like, oh my god, we're working for the same evil space guys. Turns out to be a whole big conspiracy. Like, that is very Tom King. I would even say what I think is likely is that something Hal Jordan did was really bad. It's probably that, like, at the behest of the Guardians, he killed some members of whatever alien race the guy they're interrogating is part of. And, like, originally he thought he was doing the right thing, but it turns out that was bad. I don't know. There's no way Garrett Dillahunt is just actually out there to stop aliens. But we do hear him saying that he's working for someone, and he's got an NDA. Maybe he doesn't know who he was working for. Maybe there's, like, only one Manhunter, and that's who he is working for. They're trying to create, like, more Manhunters, and that's what, like, Grandma Macon's doing, and, like, maybe the lawyer's part of that. I mean, the kid, he's gotta turn out to be something, right? Like, there's no way he's just a kid. A couple of other things. So I want to talk about some of the specifics that come from this episode, because specifics do tend to tell us something about what we're watching, even if it isn't really that important. If anything, it's kind of like a subliminal thing where when Hal is looking for examples to pull from, he kind of accidentally in his brain pulls from these things. So the first thing we get besides the football is Harry Potter. He asks, where did Harry Potter go to school? Talk about Hogwarts. Harry Potter is similar to the Green Lanterns, kind of, in that he is a little boy who is destined to be a super wizard guy. And again, that puts us back at the part of the origin that there seemed to be some sort of clash with that, like, didn't make sense. Who made John Hal's backup? Was it the Guardians? Was it the Ring? Was it something else, some other kind of conspiracy? We also get mentioned of the Boston Tea Party, in which the Americans dressed up like native people and sabotaged the English shipment of tea. So again, now you're dressing up like people, some sort of shipment is in play. We have Kelly Clarkson, who is the American Idol. And again, now we're looking at a person who was picked by voting from the people, but also kind of by Simon Cowell. I don't know, that one's a stretch. And then Barack Obama, another person who is elected. I know John's thinking very much about politics here. Even Harry Potter, I mean, he doesn't know it in 2016, but he's gonna get real political. Then I want to talk about the last bit. This is in 2026. John has graduated from mid-sized sedan to truck. He's also graduated from no goatee to goatee. He meets up with the sheriff, where she shows him Hal Jordan's dead, frozen body. Now we see he's been shot through the head. He's dead. He was just kind of sitting there. This is one of those scenes, and I can't not point it out. I think the snow in the air looks great. The snow on the benches looks fake as snow has ever looked. Sometimes stuff like you linger on, especially with this, where you're like waiting for the pan to get to Hal. You can't stop kind of looking at stuff, and you're like, man, that is just big flakes of something, but it's not snow. But yeah, he was killed, shot through the head from far away. something that I don't know if we're supposed to in the moment be like, oh, Jon's a sniper. Maybe Macon is also a sniper. Maybe that's how he knew about Jon. Or maybe Jon's dad did this because he has something against Hal Jordan and clearly is a sniper. And that feels like that's what they're trying to set up, although that could be like a misdirect at this point. Also, couldn't fully tell this one, because with the Green Lantern ring, it's like you don't necessarily like need to wear it on your ring finger. In fact, I don't think most lanterns do. I think most of them wear it either on their index finger or their middle finger. But when Jon takes Hal's hand, there is some snow missing on his middle finger where like the ring probably would be. So the ring is not there. And there's a couple of options here, because this is strange, right? Because the ring did not leave Hal. Like we know, when Hal dies, this is usually how this works, and it hasn't been, I don't think, explicitly said, but like when the Green Lantern dies, the ring finds the next person. Traditionally, it's like the person in the vicinity who has the least fear. And, you know, presumably that will be Jon. But Jon did not get the ring, even though it seemed like he had like an arrangement where he was going to get it. But he didn't. The ring is not here, so where is the ring? If there's no ring, did someone take the ring? You can't usually really do that. Then also that makes me wonder, is this Hal Jordan? Is this actually him? Or is this a decoy who transformed into a dead Hal Jordan to trick everybody into thinking Hal Jordan was dead for some reason, but maybe he's really captured? Another thought, because I think the show wants you to think about all the people that could have killed Hal Jordan. I think one very likely candidate in this story, only because of how these stories usually go, especially when there's a death, like an improbable death, a murder that like starts a mystery. I feel like a lot of the time, the person killed themselves to send a message or something like that. I don't fully know what it is, but I can see a world where Hal, knowing that like he was cooked, he was done, they were going to get him, came back here so that Jon would go back here, because maybe Jon wouldn't listen to him because of how their relationship ends in 2016. And that would force Jon back here, give him some jurisdiction to start investigating the town, and get him the ring because he's next in line. Maybe someone's going to take the ring, and Hal was like, no, if I die, the ring will go to the next guy and you can't have it. Also, they're talking about Hal doesn't care about anybody. Hal doesn't care about anybody. Well, maybe Hal does care about somebody, and that kind of makes the ring not work or something. I feel like enough characters talk about that. He's fearless. We get the conversation with Jon and the sheriff where she's saying he's not fearless, he's lonely, which is probably true, but also I have a hard time believing Hal Jordan doesn't care about anyone. But you know, that's all I think we get in this episode. There are a lot of threads left to pull. Where's Jon's mom? What are the Guardians up to? Who talks about Manhunters for the first time? Like, how does that come into the conversation? But overall, I love this show. This is like one of my new favorite shows of the year. I hope is able to maintain this momentum because his performance has been great. The mystery is fun. I love the ambiance. I love the setting. Yeah, I think this show is just great. And last thing, and you know, listen to this bit because it is important, very important to me. I've been talking a while about the Nebula project that I filmed about a year ago, and I finally have an update. We're going to be releasing it as a short film. We're going to premiere it at the Holly Shorts Festival in August 21st of 2026. So less than a month. Then once we're done with all the festivals, whenever we are able to, we will premiere it on Nebula. This is I don't know exactly how long it is, over 20-minute long short film I wrote. YouTube friend Patrick Willems directed, and Dave and Nebula put together an incredible team, like cinematographers, actors, crew, and made a short film that really looks great. It is called Power Trip, and unless you are at one of the festivals where it screens, the first place to watch this short, again, that I wrote, will be on Nebula. Nebula is a subscription streaming platform that I and a bunch of other YouTubers created. I upload all my videos early and ad-free, including this one. This was here on Nebula first. And then, like my short film, there's all kinds of stuff you can only find on Nebula. Patrick has made other short films. Lindsay Ellis makes video essays exclusively for Nebula. If you've watched the channel, you've seen me plug many of them. The show Jet Lag premieres on Nebula. Tom Scott's England series premieres on Nebula. It is an incredible way to support creators, and we're in the home stretch, so you will very soon be able to see this short film that I wrote and Patrick directed on Nebula. And a year of Nebula is already a steal. It's $60 a year. That's just $5 a month. But if you go to go.nebula.tv/The Nando Cut, you can get a year of Nebula for just $30. That is $2.50 a month. It is an incredible deal. It's a great way to support me and a bunch of other creators who either you already love or you are about to love. Again, it is go.nebula.tv/The Nando Cut. So next week we will cover episode 2 of Lanterns. Until then, stay safe. I'll see you around.